an extract. It's a very short extract from the beginning of the Mime Order. It might change just slightly because it's from the sort of the proof copy, so I might change a couple of words. But okay, here we go. Nick looked up at the low ceiling. How many of us are there, Paige? 28, I said. Let's move in small groups. You and I can go up first with Nell and Nadine. Jackson, Zeke, can you keep an eye on... I hope very much, Jackson said softly, that you are not presuming to give me orders. Red vision. In the blur of lighting the fire, getting off the train and finding the platform, I'd scarcely noticed my Mime Lord. He was standing in the shadows, his hand on his cane, straight and bright as a newly lit candle. The blade of the cane was extended, its tip sharp against the stone. While the rest of us were caked in ash and blood and mud and sweat, there was barely a smudge on the white binder's suit. After a moment, Nick flexed his jaw. I was asking you for help, he said. I will stay here with the prisoners until you clear a path, Jackson sniffed. You can dirty your hands plucking feathers off the ravens. He didn't look at me. I took Nick by the arm. Of course we can, he muttered, not quite loudly enough for Jackson to hear. Let's just go, I said. I'll stay and watch them, Zeke said. He hadn't spoken for the whole train journey. One of his hands was clamped over his shoulder, the other wrapped into a white-knuckled fist. Nick nodded, swallowed, and beckoned to Nell. Lead the way, he said. Leaving the prisoners in total darkness, Nadine, Nick, and I followed Nell up a flight of steep, winding steps. She was quick as a bird. I found myself struggling to keep up. Every muscle in my legs was burning. What had happened to my strength, my speed? I needed rest. I'd be fine once I slept. Our footfalls were too loud, echoing above and below us. Behind me, Nick's boot caught on a step. Nadine grabbed his elbow. At the top, Nell slowed down and cracked open a heavy metal door. The distant howl of civil defence sirens came rushing into the passageway. All clear, Nell whispered. I took out my hunting knife from my backpack. Using guns would draw out every raven in the keep. As Nell had predicted, the entrance to the stairwell was directly opposite the deactivated elevator. Between the doors was a stretch of gravel where water had once surged in from the Thames. To the right was a wall of enormous bricks sealed with old mortar, and to the left, built under a sweeping stone archway, was the Traitor's Gate, a solemn black construction with a latticed lunette. We were low down here, too low to be seen from the guard towers. A flight of stone steps stretched beyond the gate, and a narrow ramp for stretchers. The moon illuminated what little I could see of the white tower. A high wall stood between the keep and the gate, something we could hide behind. A powerful searchlight beamed from a turret. The sirens roared a single, unbroken note. In Sion, that signalled a major security breach. They would know about the train by now. If the ravens caught us in this narrow gap, we were bones. That's where the guards live, Nell said, keeping her voice low. They keep the voyants in the bloody tower. Where will the steps take us, I said. The innermost keep. We have to move. They'll search the whole complex when they realise the train has been stopped. As she spoke, a unit of ravens came marching up the path. We flattened ourselves against the walls. As they passed, I glanced at Nick. A bead of sweat trembled at his temple. His eyes were fixed on the chains around the gate. If they saw it was secure, they might not check it. Luck was on our side. The ravens moved on. Once they were out of sight, I pushed myself from the wall with trembling arms. Nell slid to the floor, swearing under her breath. Above our hiding spot, several more siren clusters joined their voices to the warning. I tried pushing the gate to no avail. It was an old, heavy thing. The chains were held together with a padlock. A standard padlock, I noticed, not ethereal. There were no Rephi guards to open it on this side. Seeing it, Nadine pushed me out of the way. She took a tiny flathead screwdriver from her belt, pushed it into the lower half of the keyhole and pulled out a silver pick. This could take a while. It was getting hard to hear over the noise. The pins feel rusty. We don't have a while, I said. No chance of getting these down. The river would swamp us, Nick said, looking at the bricks I pointed out. Get the others. Nadine didn't take her eyes off the padlock. I'll have this open in a few minutes. We should stay together. Nick nodded. I paced between the walls, checking every brick. If the ravens were circling the complex on patrol, it wouldn't be long before they came back. We had to open the gate, get the prisoners out of the way, and return the padlock to its place before then. If we couldn't, we'd have to go back underground, where we'd be hunted down like rats. A few feet away, Nadine took out another pick. She was working at an awkward angle, given that the padlock was on the other side of the gate. Nick emerged from the stairwell with a flock of nervous prisoners at his back. I motioned for him to stay where he was, shaking my head. He whispered something to the nearest prisoner. At the gate, Nadine hissed, yes, and sprang the padlock. Nell and I helped her pull the heavy chains from the bars, moving slowly, careful not to let the links make too much noise. Together we pushed open the Traitor's Gate. It scraped against the gravel, its hinges groaning with disuse, but the sirens drowned the noise out. Nell ventured up the steps, looked from side to side. All clear, she started. The words stopped in her throat. Nell staggered back, clutching her thigh. I barely registered the gunshot before I was tearing up the steps, knife in hand. "Paige, don't!" Nick shouted, but I didn't answer. I couldn't let another Voyant die, not after Liz, not after Julian. I pulled Nell's arm around my neck and dragged her off the path, out of sight of the sniper crouched on the wall. Nick took her from my arms and pulled me back towards the archway.